Hey Pokemon trainers, welcome to my brand new YouTube series, the Ultimate Random Living Regional Dex Challenge. I am Dex Master Joe, and I will be your guide as we embark on an epic journey across all generations and regions to catch them all. This challenge will have a unique set of rules that will make it more exciting and interesting, so I hope you will enjoy this as much as I will. So, let's get started with what's normal. First, it's a living dex. This means that all evolutionary stages must be obtained to be later stored in Pokemon Home. It's ultimate, because all form variations must also be obtained. So any gender changes, any regional differences, those must all be obtained. Also, calling it ultimate sounds cooler. It's a regional dex, because all Pokemon needs to be obtained in their original region. So, if you take for example Pikachu, it can be obtained in Sword and Shield or in Red Blue Yellow. It must be obtained in Red Blue Yellow Kanto, for that is the original region of Pikachu. Now for the fun part. The target to hunt will not be decided by me, instead it will be completely random. This means that I can only catch what RNG picks for me unless it's necessary. For the first task of each game, unless it's a starter, I can pick whichever one I want. However, I cannot evolve it or mark it as collected unless a task to collect one of its evolution appears. I know this is a complicated rule, but I have an example for you coming up. So, let's say that the first task is to obtain a Clefairy in Red Blue Yellow. I pick a Charmander as a starter, because I enjoy pain. I cannot evolve it, but now I have obtained a Clefairy. Great. Next task is to obtain a Charmeleon in Red Blue Yellow. Great, I can now evolve my Charmander, and now I have a Charmeleon. Next task is to obtain a Charizard. Now I must get a new Charmander and trade it over to the main game. I can either evolve the Charmander to Charmeleon, and the initial Charmeleon to Charizard, or the opposite, whichever is more convenient for me. Now for a more fun example, let's say the first task in Scarlet Violet is to obtain the Miraidon. Now, I need to clear the whole game with just a first stage starter, which is going to be a fun challenge. Now, let's talk about more miscellaneous rules. First of all, I can progress games without any restriction until I complete my task. So, for example, let's say I get a Charizard task, it needs to be evolved into level 36. I'm not confined to Route 1, I can progress the game however I want, as long as I don't catch any unnecessary Pokemon. I can trade with myself without any restrictions. I must be the OT of all Pokemon if possible. This is impossible for Pokemon like Mew, where the OT must be GF for Game Freak. Pokemon must be obtained in the earliest route they can be. So if I have to choose between Route 1 for PG and Route 20, I have to pick Route 1. Pokemon must be evolved in the original generation games, so if we take for example Kadabra, I must evolve it by trading with myself on Red Blue Yellow and not on Pokemon Legends Arceus. All items are unrestricted as long as they are obtained legitimately. For example, I cannot use the missing no glitch to multiply rare candies to make my leveling process easier. I must only use whatever is normally obtained. I can use glitches only if they're necessary, for example Gen 1 Mew and Black and White Keldeo. And of course the most important rule, everything will be recorded for your amusement. Any videos you'll see of me will be essentially just sped up footage with added commentary and slow down wherever relevant. To manage this challenge, I created this spreadsheet. It has 2 pages, tracker and dashboard. I will spend most of my time here in the dashboard, which lets me automatically generate a new task, as well as mark it as done. Once I mark it as done, it will automatically record that the Pokemon was caught in the tracker page, as well as the order in which it was caught. As you can see, it also updates some tracker data. So the total number of Pokemon caught, the progress to 100%, and the total there is to catch. If you see the tracker, you can now see that the Pokemon have the order number there. They were also marked as caught. And I will be using this to control which Pokemon I have to catch next, and as well as to mark it as done and generate a new task automatically. You can see, as long as I keep clicking mark as done, it will keep generating me new Pokemon to catch. Now I have cleaned my spreadsheet, so we can now pick a new task. So let's go. Type no, it's Sun and Moon. This is gonna be fun. Now, after that slog of an intro, it's finally time to pick the starter. For this challenge I'm gonna pick Litten, mostly because I just enjoy fire types and kittens. Regardless of the choice, this is still gonna be very challenging, since we're taking a base form starter all the way to the end of the game when Gladion gives us type null. This of course means that we're gonna have to EV train the Pokémon. For that I am thinking of investing some points in HP, but mostly focus on speed and attack, so that we can take out the enemies before they can take us out. To give Litten some defense and special defense, I will be using an Eviolite, which boosts both of these stats by 50% as long as it's not an evolved form, which is this case. Now, since EV training is a very, very tedious process, it's time for a training speed up. Let's go! So, while I was EV training, I discovered that the SOS training method doubles the EV gained by the called Pokémon, so I wanted to try this out on this Caterpie over here. But I only had my limited experience from Sun and Moon, not Ultra Sun and Moon as I'm playing here, And I discovered that in this game I needed an adrenaline orb, which is something I unlock much later in the story. So you see me here wasting a bit of time, and I get a bit annoyed, so I decide to progress further into the story so that I can unlock adrenaline orb and try to speed this up a bit, because getting to max EVs is gonna be a huge grind, and using the SOS training will make it half as much. So it's now time to speedrun the story so I can unlock the adrenaline orb and reduce the grind to half, in order to make this more interesting for you and for me. Killing that piggyback marks the end of day 1 and start of day 2, where I wanted to do a more mixed approach of about half the time story progression and the other half EV training, but I soon came to regret not doing some research on this game, as you will see in a bit why that is. For now, please enjoy the constant grinding for EVs and story progression. Defeating this trainer unlocks Workup, which is a decent move early on since it boosts both attack and special attack by one stage. So I teach it to my Litten, hoping it will help me with more difficult encounters. But I am soon faced with the first wall of this challenge, Poplio. This hell spawn from the ocean two-shots me, which means that I will have to EV train and XP train a lot to be able to brute force my way through this, since I can't catch extra party members or evolve the Turo cat. This means that, until I get a decent move or high enough stats, I will be grinding away at low level mods to get my baby cat strong enough to take down the water gunner from hell. Since that won't be very entertaining, I will do a training montage instead of speeding up the footage, starting now. With that level up, I finally unlocked my wall breaker, Double Kick. It hits Poplio for neutral damage, and with the added levels and stats from EV grinding, it enables me to finally progress to the story. So I start making my way back to the trainer school to send the water gunner from hell to where it came from, and claim my vengeance and freedom. And with that, the first episode in this series comes to an end. Next episode, we will be progressing further down the storyline to obtain both Eviolite and Adrenaline Orbs. If you like this episode, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe. See ya!